A lot has changed in mountaineering since Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summited the great Mount Everest in 1953. Niall McGee is here with a look. So, Niall, first of all, one of the big stories is the shift in technology. You know, instead of going up in corduroy pants and big boots, everything's changed.
Exactly. It was actually a very quaint time, I suppose, in mountaineering. All you really had to do was load up in wool. It was basically a big tweed jacket that these guys were wearing. There they are now, Hillary and Norgay, the first two humans to summit Mount Everest in '53. Climbing Mount Everest in the 21st century also requires a mountain of gear. Check out everything you need to get to the summit of Mount Everest.
There's quite a bit of stuff that's required to climb Mount Everest, as one can imagine, and it starts on the inside. So next to the body, and I guess before you even get to Mount Everest, there's quite a long, warm climb to that point, in which case you're going to need some hot weather gear, some stuff to get through the valleys and up to the base. So you need some trekking clothing. Once you get to the base of the mountain and you start to the base of the body, you're talking about several types of underwear. At the lower altitudes, where it's perhaps a bit warmer, you need something that's thin, that transfers the moisture from your body to the next layers. And as you start getting higher, you start to go thicker and thicker underwear, to the point where you might even be wearing 2 or 3 pair. Then next to the underwear, which is transferring the moisture out, you need yet another layer. So you need something made of fleece, something that is, again, going to take the moisture from your body and continue it outside. Depending on the situation, you then might have a soft shell, something that's transferring the moisture quite well. If it's a little bit wet outside, you need something that's waterproof and breathable. And then as it gets colder and colder, you move from very warm to extremely warm clothing, down products, which are very, very light and very warm, packable when you don't need them, and warm and thick when you do.
So basically, still in 2008, we still need a lot of layers. That hasn't changed.
Absolutely. So certainly Sir Edmund was able to climb a lot for us with some very low technology items. We have the advantage of pretty high tech.
Okay, so we've done the clothing. That's obviously very important. There's a lot more that you need, though, to climb Mount Everest. So let's get to the other very important gear.
Absolutely. There's much more in the hard goods area as well. So from high-tech double-walled tents, which are going to keep you warm and dry and keep you out of the blizzards, to things like our sleeping bags. Again, similar to our clothing, we need things that are going to work in the warm weather. So the thinner, lighter type of sleeping bags, and then sleeping bags that are good down to as much as -40. Once again, you're using down because they're light, they're compactable, and they're quite versatile. You, of course, also need packs. You need duffel bags in order to carry your stuff in. You need all sorts of accessories, such as socks and gloves and toques. You need climbing boots, hard shell climbing boots. Sir Edmund would have used leather. You need your own personal climbing gear, such as ice axes, crampons, climbing harness, carabiners, trekking poles. There's quite a bit of stuff.
I mean, this is a massive amount of materials. Could one person even manage to carry all this stuff?
You unfortunately have to. Certainly to some degree, the Sherpas or the people, you have support folks that are going to carry it to a certain degree for you. But once you're on the mountain, you're carrying a lot of this up yourself because you don't want to not have it if you happen to need it on the mountain. And
what's the single biggest change there has been in mountaineering equipment since Sir Edmund Hillary summited back in '53?
Yeah, I think it's the reliability of the technical gear. Is that if you've got a rope, the rope is going to last longer. It's going to not be worried about breaking. You've got an ice axe with a composite shaft instead of wood. Once again, you can rely on it. Also, the gear is much lighter, so you're taking things up which are going to last, and you're taking things up that you don't have to carry quite so much.
Okay, one of the final questions for you. How much would all this gear actually cost you?
Yeah, you're probably looking at about $6,000 to $7,000 worth of product right here, and that of course doesn't include all the group equipment that you might need or that you might pay an outside agency in order to provide.
And if you actually want to climb Mount Everest, if you want to be guided to the summit, how much are we talking there?
Depends on the agency, but I would say anywhere from $60,000 to $75,000 is an additional cost, and of course that doesn't include things like airfare to places like Kathmandu.
Well, Bob, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Niall, can you imagine carrying that much stuff?
You know, you need a strong back, and that is one thing Hillary said he had. He always said he had a very strong back.